it's Carly here for Neat and Tangled, and today I wanted to share a quick process video on how this card came together. I did a little masking because it's one of my favorite and most often used stamping techniques, and then also a quick Google search showed me I really didn't need any special supplies to make a pop-up card, so I had to try it. To start, I need little acorn masks. There are lots of great ways to mask, like post-it note paper or liquid masking, but this paper from Inkadoo is my favorite. So it's low-tack adhesive on one side and a stampable surface on the other. So I always stamp my masks in permanent ink as well to make sure I don't transfer any smudges to my project. And then I just use sharp scissors to cut out my masks. Fussy cutting, not my strong suit. So I just try to cut right down the middle of that stamped line. Now before I start using those masks, I'm going to stamp my sentiment onto my card panel so I don't forget to leave space for it. And then sometimes when I'm going to be repeatedly stamping an image, especially a small one, I just skip my MISTI and break out an acrylic block. So I'm not the best stamper, so I kind of do a couple of test stamps onto my nonstick craft mat to make sure I'm inking up the whole image and I've got the right amount of pressure. And those little acorns still aren't as perfect as they would be if I used my MISTI, but I think it'll be okay, especially when I add color. So I'm stamping that trail of acorns down to the sentiment, and then under the sentiment is where I'm going to put that big pile of them. So I stamp the first few, I let them dry for a moment, and then I mask off the little acorns with those masks that I've made. Now I'm just going to stamp more acorns on top, and these second ones I'm doing are going to look like they are behind those first ones and that they're piling up together, and that's the great thing about masking is you can give your card a lot of dimension. Now once I'm happy with the amount of acorns in my pile, I'm going to use tweezers to remove those masks and set them aside just in case I want to use them again. They'd probably be good for 1 or 2 more cards. Once I remove them, I see I've got a little spot where an acorn didn't stamp completely, so I'm just using a Copic friendly marker to draw that line back in. And then next comes the coloring. So I am super slow at coloring, and I tend to put my face down really close to it. So I'm not going to make you watch that. But basically you can see I'm doing a simple 2-color blend, nothing too fancy on these little small images. And there you can see what it looks like when it's all done. There is a complete list of markers in the video description and on the Neat and Tangled blog, by the way, just in case you need it. And now I'm moving on to the card that's going to have this pop-up element. So I've got a top folding A2 card. I'm going to fold it and burnish it and then put it into my paper trimmer to cut the pop-up element. So I've got the folded edge at the bottom of my trimmer. I'm going to pull the blade down before I close it over and then push it back up to cut about 1 inch into the folded edge. So the measurements on the trimmer are really helpful, even though I'm using it upside down. Don't ask me why I do that, I don't know. Then I'm going to shift it about 1/4 inch and repeat that 1 inch cut up into the folded edge. So it might be confusing, but then you can see when I'm done, I've got this little tab that I've cut into that fold of my card. So I'm going to fold it down and burnish it with my bone folder. Then I'm going to fold it the opposite way and burnish it again, just to help get the folds on the inside. Then I'm going to open it up, pull that little tab down, and then basically I'm changing my original scored fold from one direction to the other. So I'm just going to burnish it again and make sure everything is nice and set. Then you can see my stamped panel is going to go on front, and then when you open it, it'll have that little pop-up tab, which is where I'm going to put this little squirrely cutie. So now I just really need to adhere everything together. So I usually put all the adhesive on the panel and adhere it to the card, but since I've got that little notch cut out, I'm going to put those top strips of tape onto the card and put the panel on top. The nice thing about using the double-sided tape is I can remove the liner paper a little bit at a time and make sure I've got everything centered on there how I want it. Then I can just pull off the liner paper from the rest of the panel and get it securely stuck down. Then I'm going to move on to the inside. So I've got a little piece of that same tape onto my little pop-up element, and I'm just adhering my squirrel onto there. So then you can see when you pop up, there's just a little surprise I think will make somebody's day. So thank you so much for watching. You can find more information in the description below and on the Neat and Tangled blog. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and let me know what you liked, and I hope you're having a great day. Thanks so much for watching. Happy crafting.